Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're plunging into something pretty fascinating, a conceptual statement that really caught my eye. It's from the August 3rd, 2025 edition of NR Magazine.
Okay.
And the title alone, honestly, is captivating. The Fracture of the Morningstar, a Sovereign Echo. Just hearing that, it sort of sparks something, right?
It does, yeah. It has that mythic quality.
Exactly. It hints at something ancient, but also really modern. So our mission today is basically to unpack the profound impact and importance of this short film, because it feels like more than just media. It seems like a really crafted statement. And what I find remarkable, truly, is how something so brief, it's just 1 minute and 20 seconds long, can apparently hold such a deep well of meaning. You know, how can it provoke so much discussion? How does something so concise actually become so impactful?
Well, that's the core question, isn't it? And what's really interesting is the film itself kind of gives us a starting point. It calls itself a cinematic invocation of identity reclamation, metaphysical resistance, and multiversal coherence.
Wow, okay. Heavy stuff.
Right. These aren't just like fancy words. They feel like the bedrock for understanding what the film wants to do, why it hits so hard in today's storytelling landscape. And, that direct link they make to Lucifer Morningstar,
Yeah.
the idea of him unraveling the encoded truths buried beneath cosmic silence, that immediately sets a really powerful tone. It signals rebellion, sure, but also awakening, a kind of deep inner search for truth. It's not just telling a story about something. It feels like the story itself is trying to do something.
Okay, so let's really get into that then. Building on that idea, let's focus on the central figure, Lucifer Morningstar. I mean, that's not an accidental choice of character, is it?
Definitely not.
We're told he's walking the edge of memory and rebellion. What does it really signify when this specific archetype, who's usually all about defiance, sometimes destruction,
Right, the traditional fallen angel narrative.
is shown as someone who speaks not to conquer, but to awaken? That feels like a huge reimagining, a big twist.
Oh, it's a massive reimagining, yeah. It fundamentally changes the nature of rebellion in this film's context. If you think about it, it shifts the rebel archetype from being purely destructive to something potentially, enlightening.
Enlightening, how so?
Well, him walking the edge of memory and rebellion suggests it's not just an outward fight. It sounds more like a deep internal conflict, maybe rediscovering himself, his purpose, rather than just battling external forces.
Okay, yeah.
And when he speaks to awaken, the whole focus shifts. It's not about forcing his will or winning battles. It's about sparking self-discovery and critical thinking in the audience. That elevates the whole thing, doesn't it? From just entertainment to almost a call for looking inward.
So it's about empowering the individual viewer.
Exactly. Find your own truths, shed the stuff you've been told, which is incredibly potent today. With narratives coming at you from everywhere, it asks you to look inside for power, not outside for a fight.
And the visuals they mentioned sound just incredible. The source talks about 10 visually arresting scenes from shattered cathedrals to twilight horizons, and later things like fractured halos, broken crowns. These can't just be background decorations, surely.
No way.
How do visuals like that actually drive the story, this idea of transformation and resistance? It feels like its own language.
It absolutely is its own language, and you raise a key point, how visuals become narrative symbols. Think about shattered cathedrals. Instantly, you get this image of breaking down old structures, right?
Yeah, established norms, beliefs.
Exactly. Be they religious, societal, even personal beliefs you hold really tightly. But it's not just smashing things. It feels like a necessary clearing of the ground, making space.
Okay, and twilight horizons.
That suggests a liminal space, doesn't it? That in-between zone where one thing ends and another's about to begin. A moment of profound change, which fits perfectly with identity reclamation. The old self fading, the new one emerging.
Ah, I see.
And then fractured halos, broken crowns. I mean, could it be more direct? Those are visual metaphors for stripping away assumed divinity or authority, shattering false identities imposed from outside.
So visually showing the pain, but also the freedom of breaking free.
Precisely. It's powerful visual shorthand for the film's core idea. Resisting being rewritten, finding personal liberation. Each image is like a concentrated burst of meaning.
It's just wild to think they pack all this journey, these big ideas, into what, a 1 minute, 20-second visual, Paul?
Yeah.
How do you cram so much into such a tiny space?
Yeah.
The source mentions glyphic resonance and narrative diagnostics. I mean, that sounds super technical, almost like a formula. What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, the brevity is part of its brilliance, part of its impact. A visual poem isn't about, standard plot points A, B, and C.
Right.
It's about hitting you with feelings, sparking thoughts, creating an atmosphere through really concentrated images and maybe sound. Glyphic resonance. Think of like an ancient symbol, a hieroglyph, how one image can hold layers and layers of meaning. Or maybe a modern equivalent is like a really potent emoji that tells a whole story in one go.
Ah, okay, I get that.
So each visual, each sound maybe, is supercharged with that kind of symbolic weight. And narrative diagnostics, that sounds like a really precise, almost surgical approach.
Surgical?
Yeah, like every single frame, every second is meticulously chosen, no wasted motion. It's designed to deliver the message directly, without fluff. It distills the essence.
Which must demand a lot from the viewer too, right?
Totally. That focused intensity means it doesn't just tell you something. It forces you to engage, to connect the dots, interpret the symbols. You're not just passively watching, you have to participate. It's kind of perfect for how we process information now, maybe. Short bursts, demanding engagement.
That makes a ton of sense, actually. And speaking of impact, it's not just for everyone, is it? The source says it's specifically curated for Gen Alpha and Gen Z mythmakers. Why that group? What makes them so important for a film about identity and resistance?
Oh, yeah.
And what's the intended impact there? It feels really specific.
Oh, it's incredibly specific and I think very strategic. These generations, Gen Alpha, Gen Z, they're growing up completely immersed in digital culture, constant change, endless information streams.
Yeah.
So they're already used to consuming info in short, impactful bursts, kind of like this film. But more than that, they are actively shaping culture online. They're doing their own myth-making, whether it's through memes, TikToks, personal branding, building whole communities around shared stories.
You really are creating new narratives all the time.
Exactly. So a film talking about identity reclamation and metaphysical resistance, that speaks directly to their experience of figuring out who they are in this complex digital world, with all these competing pressures and narratives telling them who to be.
So the film is trying to
Empower them, I think, to be the active creators of their own stories, to question the narratives they're given, to resist being defined only by external stuff. It's urging them to be the myth makers of their own lives. It's less like passive entertainment and more like a tool for self-definition, for agency.
That's powerful. But okay, here's another layer that really intrigued me. This phrase, first sovereign release from the Echo Rift 9X archive. Now, we know about the previous film, Echo Rift 9X, The Sovereign Drift.
With Saikou Venga.
Right, so what does sovereign release signify here? Does it mean independence? Or is it hinting at deeper lore within this Echo Rift 9X universe, like a statement of creative control?
Sovereign release. Yeah, that's a really potent choice of words, especially given the themes. It absolutely feels like a statement of independence, of self-ownership. Meaning maybe this isn't just another sequel or episode. It's a definitive, self-contained declaration within that bigger Echo Rift world. Maybe it's the start of something new that stands alone, or maybe it's like the ultimate expression of the archive's core message.
And it ties back to the film's themes.
Perfectly. Think about it. A film about reclaiming identity, resisting being rewritten, releasing it as a sovereign act. It mirrors the message beautifully. It's like the creators are saying, we control our narrative just like we want you to control yours. It's an assertion of creative autonomy that actually boosts the film's overall impact. The medium is part of the message here.
Wow, okay. And then there's that tagline, the one that just kind of sticks in your head. The story doesn't end. It fractures into echoes, into choices, into you. That's more than just a clever line, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That's not just marketing fluff.
It feels like it directly pulls the listener, the viewer, in. It makes the film a catalyst for, well, thinking about yourself. It pushes the idea of what a film even is.
Totally. That tagline might be the single most impactful part of the whole thing because it just smashes the fourth wall, right? It directly involves you. Well, most stories, they wrap up. Beginning, middle, and you watch, it finishes. But this says, nope, the narrative doesn't stay on the screen. By fracturing into echoes, into choices, into you, it basically transforms you from a passive watcher into an active participant in the story after it's over.
So the story continues inside the viewer.
Kind of, yeah. It's a profound take on personal agency, on how we keep creating ourselves. The echoes are the ideas that stick with you, the feelings, the choices are what you do with those echoes, how they change your perspective or actions. And into you, that means the film's themes, its questions about identity and resistance, they become internalized. part of your ongoing story.
So it encourages a really personal, ongoing engagement.
Exactly. It makes the film's impact individual and continuous. It directly challenges the whole notion of a story ever being truly finished.
And we should definitely mention the creative force behind it.
Yeah.
Directed by Dr. Melvin Sewell, who holds an M.Sc, Ph.D, and is a CEO. And it's linked with TrueFlow Game by Vibe Studio, and something called Cosmic University. That's quite a mix. Academia, gaming, a creative studio. What does that combination suggest about the project's ambition, its potential impact? It feels really unique.
It really does, doesn't it? That blend, a CEO with advanced degrees directing, alongside a game company, a creative studio, and a cosmic university, it highlights just how multifaceted this project aims to be.
Yeah.
This isn't just a filmmaker in the traditional sense. It's someone bridging diverse fields entertainment, interactive stuff from gaming, potentially deep philosophical questions, maybe even new ways of learning or experiencing things.
So TrueFlow Games suggests
An understanding of immersion, interactivity stuff that really clicks with Gen Z and Alpha. Vibe Studio points towards creative, maybe experimental visuals. And Cosmic University, I mean, that phrase alone.
What do you make of that?
It hints at something beyond standard education, right? Maybe exploring universal truths, consciousness, spirituality even. It could suggest a whole new framework for knowledge, or maybe it's part of a bigger story about seeking wisdom.
So the mix itself adds depth.
I think so. This interdisciplinary approach probably allows the film to pull from a much wider range of ideas and present them in ways that are both smart and visually compelling. It reinforces that idea of a cinematic invocation, not just a movie, but something aiming much higher, intellectually and creatively. It definitely signals a big ambition, boosting its potential impact beyond your average short film. They're bringing all these different angles together for one core message.
So wrapping this up, we've really dug into Fracture the Morningstar, and it's clear this is way more than just a quick film. It's, like you said, a meticulously crafted statement layered, designed to hit deep. We've seen how something so short, 80 seconds, can land such a punch about identity, resistance, even this idea of multiversal coherence. It uses those striking visuals that reimagined Lucifer to make really complex stuff feel accessible, engaging, especially for Gen Alpha and Z.
Yeah.
This deep dive, I feel, has really illuminated why this piece matters, not just for them, but maybe for anyone wrestling with self-discovery, pushing back against norms, trying to find their own way in this crazy world. It really prompts you to think.
And that's exactly its lasting importance, I think. The film, especially through a character who refuses to be rewritten, it nudges us all to think more critically about stories themselves, about our own agency, about how we all kind of participate in myth-making today. It taps into that really basic human desire for authenticity, right? For self-definition. It urges us to unravel the encoded truth, maybe hidden in our own lives, our own histories. And that multiversal coherence part suggests your personal search for truth isn't isolated. It connects to a bigger picture, maybe even multiple realities. Its impact is in empowering you to shape your narrative, claim your sovereignty, moving from just consuming stories to actively creating them.
Which loops us right back to that incredibly potent tagline. The story doesn't end. It fractures into echoes, into choices, into you. I mean, that really is the challenge, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It makes you stop and ask, what does that really mean for a story to fracture into me?
Yeah.
It means you're not just sitting on the sidelines of the world's narrative. You're an active part of it. Your engagement, how you understand things, just you being you. That continues the story.
Exactly. So I have a final thought for you listening is, how do you see your role in shaping the narrative swirling around you? And maybe more profoundly, what encoded truths might you be ready to unravel, knowing now that the story isn't just out there on a screen, but it actually fractures right into you?